She thought her role tonight was simple: write, record, and vanish into silence. The Tactical Operations Center was lit in low red glow, screens humming with shifting maps and streaming feeds. The air tasted of burnt coffee and printer ink. Voices overlapped on headsets, clipped and confident, men and women used to pressure-carving commands out of static. Emma Hale sat at the corner table, glasses slipping down her nose, pen racing across her notebook. She was the note-taker, nothing more, invisible in the room filled with command. She tracked each word with a precision no one noticed. Timestamps, grid coordinates, call signs layered on her page like a code only she understood. Hammer 1, reporting movement at grid 7 by 14. Iron Hand adjusting relay frequency. Falcon Eye feeding infrared images of 3 figures slipping across a ridgeline. Every call, every distance, every small hesitation. They poured into her notebook, shorthand scrawled so fast her hand ached. Colonel Briggs commanded the room from the central console. His voice was steady, detached, an authority that filled every pause. Maintain overwatch. Hammer, you are 200 meters from the objective. Execute by the clock. The operators acknowledged without question, moving like pieces on a board he controlled from afar. Emma watched the map flicker, a pale green overlay of terrain, and wrote down each instruction exactly as spoken. Around her, the other officers scanned screens, whispered updates, and adjusted feeds. Emma stayed silent, unnoticed, but she heard things others didn't linger on: the slight delay in Iron Hand's confirmation, the fatigue in Hammer's voice, the flicker in Falcon's feed that hinted at weather interference. She wrote it all, every small cue that might matter later. The mission moved forward. Hammer's team shifted into hostile terrain, their voices coming steady through the comms. Falcon Eye called out, "Multiple heat signatures, 50 meters to your northwest." The squad adjusted without pause. Emma scribbled the detail, her pen biting into the paper, already predicting where the contacts might drift by the clock. The colonel never raised his voice, never slowed. "Proceed. Maintain your stack. Breach window in 5 minutes. Hammer, confirm status." Hammer confirmed, calm but strained. Emma wrote it again, underlining the exact minute. She didn't realize how fast her heart was racing until she noticed her hand trembling on the page. Minutes ticked forward, marked by the steady hum of printers spitting situational updates and the shifting glow of screens. Someone passed her without seeing her at all. She was background, the girl with the pen. But she was absorbing everything: the cadence of orders, the tension hidden in silence between calls. Then, for the first time, the comms cracked. A brief warble of static drowned half a sentence from Colonel Briggs. It was nothing, quickly corrected, and the room pressed on. But Emma noted the disruption in bold, circled it twice. She looked up and saw no one else had written it. No one else even paused. Hammer's squad drew closer to the objective. They whispered to each other in clipped bursts of jargon. Iron Hand relayed their words from the forward relay post, translating distance and timing back into the talk. Falcon's UAV hovered above, its grainy feed casting gray silhouettes across the wall. Emma noted each second as the squad closed in. 200 meters, 150, 100. The colonel's voice cut through, still cold, still precise. "You are green at 80 meters. Execute at 0410 on my mark." Emma wrote it all, her page now covered in crosshatched grids, arrows, and timestamps. Then it happened again. A crack, a burst of static, and Briggs's voice dissolved mid-sentence. "Hammer, you are clear to—" And then nothing. Not static, not garble. Pure silence. The room froze. The operators leaned in, listening, waiting for his voice to reassert itself. Emma looked at the clock. 0409. 1 minute to breach. Hammer's voice came, strained but steady. "Overwatch, confirm green. We are stacked, awaiting command." Silence answered him. Emma gripped her pen, eyes darting to her notes. She had every word Briggs had given, every timing, every movement. The silence stretched long enough that her pulse pounded in her ears. No one moved. Everyone waited. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. She wasn't command. She wasn't supposed to speak. She was supposed to vanish. But her pen hovered over the words she had written in thick black lines. Execute at 0410. In that suspended second, Emma realized the operators on the ground couldn't wait forever. The colonel's voice was gone, and the silence was swallowing the mission whole. The operators were still waiting when she lifted her head, her voice not yet spoken but ready, and for the first time she felt the weight of what she carried in her notebook. And when the silence held, it became clear. The next voice they heard might not be the colonel's at all. When silence swallowed command, the only voice left was one no one expected. The Tactical Operations Center seemed to contract around that absence, as though the very air grew heavy when Colonel Briggs's feed dropped without warning. 1 second, his detached cadence was guiding Hammer 1 toward the breach. The next, only dead air hissed through the headsets. The operators glanced at each other. Iron Hand shifted uncomfortably at his console. Falcon Eye adjusted the UAV feed, grainy silhouettes moving across rooftops. The clock read 0413. The squad was stacked at the breach point, waiting for orders that weren't coming. Emma's pen froze over her notebook. She had written every word, every timestamp, every coordinate Briggs had spoken. The silence stretched too long. Hammer's voice broke through, steady but urgent. Hammer 1. Overwatch, confirm green. Stack left, Hammer 3 on point. The words hung unanswered. No colonel, no command. Emma's throat tightened. She was just the note-taker, tucked in the corner, her job to record, not to speak. But she saw it plain on the map, her pen tapping over the circled minute. 0414. That was the breach. Her page said so. Her page had everything. She heard herself speak before she decided. Breach window is now. 0414. Move. The room turned toward her. Her voice had been small, hesitant, but it cut through the static. Iron Hand blinked, then repeated into the net. Hammer, proceed on 414. Move now. A pause, then Hammer responded, clipped and precise. Copy. Moving. Emma's stomach dropped. She wanted to take it back, but it was too late. She listened as Hammer's squad executed, boots striking pavement, weapons raised. The breach went loud, short bursts, then silence. They were in. They had moved on her words. The operators in the talk stared, then looked back to their screens. No one corrected her. No one spoke the colonel's name. Falcon Eye's feed sharpened, heat signatures clustering near a stairwell. 3 hostiles, 50 meters north, moving fast. His voice was tight. Emma scribbled the detail before she realized she was answering. Hammer, you've got 3 moving north. 50 meters. Adjust left. Hammer 3 on point. Her voice cracked at first, then steadied. Hammer 1. Copy. Adjusting left. The words hit her chest like a weight. They had listened again, not because she had rank, not because she had authority, because she had the notes. The room steadied around her voice. Iron Hand stopped questioning. Falcon Eye began feeding details directly to her. Crosshairs on rooftop. 2 heat signatures, 15 meters, east side. Emma translated without pause. Hammer, rooftop east, 15 meters. Eyes high. Gunfire barked faintly in the comms. An operator cursed under his breath, then confirmed. Contact down. Area clear. Emma's pen scratched across the page, recording even as she spoke. The map glowed before her, alive with shifting pieces she could see more clearly than ever. Her shorthand became command. Her voice, steady now, filled the silence Briggs had left behind. But then Falcon's tone shifted. New contacts, reinforcements. 6, maybe more. Grid 7 by 14, closing from the north. The UAV feed showed red blurs converging like a tide. The mission clock ticked toward cutoff. Hammer was still inside. All eyes turned to Emma. She felt it like heat against her skin. Extract early or push forward. That was the decision. Her pulse hammered in her ears. She wanted to hide again, to shrink back into invisibility. But her notes told her the truth. The package was near, closer than the colonel's plan had accounted for. If they pulled out now, they would leave it behind. Her voice came low but firm. Hammer, push forward. You're 30 meters from the objective. Reinforcements closing fast. You don't have time to pull out. There was silence on the line. Then Hammer answered, calm, unwavering. Copy. Pushing. Emma exhaled, the breath shaking out of her. She had made the call. Not Briggs, not Iron Hand. Her. The room seemed to shift. Operators leaned closer, waiting for her words. Even Iron Hand, grizzled and stoic, gave a small nod, as though passing her the weight she already carried. Falcon spoke again, almost deferential. Target building marked. You're guiding them, Scribe. Scribe. The word landed soft, a mark of respect where invisibility had once been. Emma's hand trembled around the pen, but her voice stayed steady. She issued the next correction, timing Hammer's movement through alleys as the UAV tracked enemy reinforcements closing in. Her notebook guided every step, her shorthand symbols suddenly the most valuable map in the room. The silence was no longer suffocating. It was hers to fill. By the time Hammer reached the target building, the trust was sealed. The squad moved when she told them. They waited when she said hold. They cleared corners by her timing, their survival tied to the precision of her voice. And though she never stopped writing, Emma understood she was no longer just recording history. She was shaping it, one word at a time. But the operation was far from over, and the real test of her voice was still to come. She wasn't supposed to lead, but by then no one questioned her voice. The Tactical Operations Center glowed dim with monitors, the only constant rhythm the sweep of clocks marking seconds lost and gained. Emma sat forward, pen idle for once, headset clamped tight, every muscle alive with the weight of voices that now answered to her. Hammer 1 moved through a city of fractured walls and narrow alleys, their breathing heavy in her ears. Falcon Eye's UAV feed crawled across the screens, grainy silhouettes closing in. 2 enemy squads converging fast, one from the east, another from the north. The trap was set, and the colonel was still silent. Hammer 1. Scribe, confirm. 2 minutes until choke point. Her throat tightened at the call sign they had given her, the name now said without hesitation. She forced the tremor from her voice. Confirm. 2 minutes. Falcon Eye, mark hostiles at grid 7 by 12. Closing distance 50 meters north, 3 heat signatures. The UAV crosshairs shifted. Falcon's quiet acknowledgement followed. The operators waited. Emma flipped her notebook open, her shorthand jagged from hours of frantic writing. One line caught her eye, an earlier recon note dismissed by the colonel. A culvert. Narrow, dark, but open enough for a squad to slip unseen. She traced it with her pen as if to steady herself. Hammer 1, adjust south, 50 meters, culvert entrance ahead. Hidden path, not on primary overlay. Silence stretched. Then Iron Hand, the steady voice on comms, broke it. You heard her. Stack left. Hammer 3 on point. Move. The squad shifted. She could almost hear their boots splash into the muck, the scrape of weapons against broken stone. Seconds bled away. Her clock read 23:17. Cut-off time, 23:45. Every order she gave was cutting into their margin. Falcon Eye cut in. Tense. Multiple hostiles regrouping east, 15 meters out, moving fast. Emma's pen tapped against the page. She drew the positions, arrows crossing like blades. The culvert would buy them 20 seconds. No more. She swallowed hard. Hammer 1, breach point in 90 seconds. Stack, Check safeties. Mark when ready. Hammer 2. Stack ready. Hammer 3. On point. The words came back clipped, no hesitation. Her voice steadied. Copy. Breach countdown begins. 90 seconds. Mark. Her world shrank to numbers. 70 seconds. 50. The map glowed with red icons pushing closer. Gunfire erupted faintly over comms, muffled controlled bursts. The squad was holding position, trusting her. At 30 seconds, she leaned into the mic. Final check. Package location confirmed. Breach on my call. Hammer 1. Ready. Iron Hand's voice, calm as a blade. Scribe, call it. Her pen stilled. The moment she had dreaded was no longer avoidable. 10 seconds. 9. 8. She counted down, voice even, her own heartbeat lost under the rhythm. 3, 2, 1. Breach. The explosion thundered through the comms, rattling in her chest. Shouts, gunfire, the chaos of men crashing into a room thick with dust and fire. She gripped her pen so hard her knuckles blanched. The next seconds stretched, endless. Then, through the haze, came the words. Hammer 1. Package secure. Eagle nest clear. The pen slipped from her hand, clattering on the desk. Around her, the talk exhaled as one. Voices erupted, relieved, triumphant. Emma sat still, headset pressing deep into her skin, the words echoing. Package secure. Eagle nest clear. She had done it. And then, crackling through interference, the colonel's voice returned. Cold. Detached. Hammer 1. Status report. Iron Hand did not answer. Hammer 1 did not answer. Instead, Hammer 1's leader keyed his mic, his words aimed squarely at her. Copy, Scribe. Mission complete. Standing by for exfil. The room froze. The authority had shifted, final and absolute. Emma, once invisible at the corner table, was the only voice they answered to. Her chest tightened with something between triumph and disbelief. She had not asked for this, but it was hers now, undeniable. A quiet came over the talk as the squad pulled back from the breach site. Emma leaned back, fingers brushing over her notebook, pages filled with frantic symbols and lines that had kept men alive. She no longer felt like a shadow. She was part of the fabric of the mission, written into its survival. One last call came over the net, softer, almost reverent. Thanks, Scribe. Couldn't have done it without you. Her throat closed. She had been a note-taker, nothing more. Tonight, her voice had been the operation itself, and as the dust settled, she knew nothing would return to silence again. And somewhere deep down, Emma realized that being heard once meant she could never go back to being invisible.